and it's Bevan that we join now at Hastings. What are the skies telling you, Bevan? We see a track reading dead 6. How about overhead conditions?
At the moment, okay, but it's pretty changeable. There's a little bit of water around on the ground as I walked in. Dead 6 track conditions. Look, I don't think they'll be running 109 for sure here this afternoon. It'll slow them up a fraction, but all in all, I think we might scrape away with the day where we won't get any extra rain on the day. So that should see us have a really interesting program, Jason, across our 8 races here this afternoon. I thought there were some really nice bets on the program to have a look at throughout the day.
Looking forward to getting into those with you and checking out the market for race number 4 to start. This is how things shape up for the WR Dyer Livestock 1300, where walking by is $3.50. Short fuses come out of this market along with Charlie Horse. Short fuse, one of the favourites for the race before scratchings. Ice Bomb $4.60, Oh for Awesome at 6, and then you've got $8.50 and $9.50 for 13, one prize, one goal, and 12 Dream On. Thad Taylor has been giving us all the market moves. Thad, race number 4 at Hastings. What can you tell us?
Yeah, interesting race, Jason. We've got the 3 favourites from 3 very powerful stables. Walking by for Tony Pike, Oh for Awesome for Alan Sharrock, and obviously Ice Bomb from the Richards stable. And look, I would have expected to see more for any one of them, to be honest, at this stage. But Ice Bomb been quite quiet in the market, resuming today. It hasn't won fresh up before. Oh for Awesome's had a couple of months off. That's having a, we'll almost say, a resuming run. And we haven't seen a lot there. And even Walking By, who won Ellerslie last start at 3.5, pretty steady. This race smells of upset to me. We're seeing money for one prize, one goal, a super consistent one prize, one goal. Dream On's resuming for the James Wellwood stable at $9. There's some good interest there. And even Satu Lagi, who will probably lead them up for the locals there at around $13, attracting a bit of attention. So a tricky race, Jason, and perhaps we need to go wide in the 4th of the day.
Does have a nose for an upset too, Thad Taylor. Interesting shape of the race that Thad touched on with maybe Satulagi going forward, but there's some pace out wide with What a Smasher and Divine Power. Will they be used to come across? You've got Lookouts in the race and Fresh Up, the son of Nom de Jus, probably looking for ground, and whether 13's going to be too sharp for it to push forward, that might be the case. How did you see things here, Bevan?
Yeah, good points. Look out, no need. I don't think at this sort of trip they can push forward and find a spot. I thought Divine Power, What a Smasher, come across. I actually think one prize, one goal might push across as well. So earlier I saw speed. I've actually changed my thoughts completely on this race in the last hour and a half or so with Short Fuse coming out. I was around Short Fuse to win and then Ice Bomb, but there's a lot of horses here that will just go back and smoke their pipe way back in the field. And I talk of Ice Bomb and Walking By. I thought Satu Lagi will get an absolute pleasure of a trip in this particular race, so reviewing it again today. The track being a dead 6, I think, is a big help because they just won't go as quick as that 109, 108. He is a winner just under the, just on that 110 mark himself. So I think that will suit him right down to the ground. He's at home. The 13's about him against one prize, one goal at $8.50, and also the James and Wellwood horse Dream On at what, $9.50. That's too short against this particular horse. So I'm going to have him on top over a pretty smart sort of horse in the 10 Walking By. From that gate though, 4 back the fence on a tempo that might just really get cold in the last middle sort of 400 metres. The 10 in there. Ice Bomb almost fell at its most recent trial. Its form lines last season were midweekish sort of form lines when you go back through them, but very, very consistent. So that's in the mix as well. And Oh for Awesome might be the big upsetter in this particular race. So this is the gelding by Ocean Park. He's got a bit of quality. Went round in the big money maiden race at New Plymouth at its most recent start and had no luck. But look, I'll go with Satu Lagi. Jace, as you know, one more. He might just get one more here on the program.
2 good sprint races across New Zealand, one at Riccarton and a listed race at Hastings. It's the 5th on the card. It's the New Zealand Bloodstock Finance Sprint, where Princess Kereru is $4.50, False Lightning's $8.50. You'll note that Amarula has come out of this race. Will start in race 4, all things being equal at Te Rapa tomorrow. Sasso Kubara with the blinkers on $6.50. You've got 8.5 also for Cavallo Veloce and Volks Lightning. So Peter Mackay still has a very strong hand in the race. Right up the top, carrying 60 kilo, will be Endless Drama, and Note Troy Harris has picked up the ride with Michael McNabb not riding this weekend. What can you tell us about your prices and the market's reaction to them here, Thad?
It's an excellent betting race, Jason, as you mentioned, and Princess Kira deserving favourite. She'd be a mare you'd love to own. She's super consistent. She never runs a bad race, and she's at $4.50. Certainly steady in this market, or certainly solid in this market. Look, Volts Lightning's an interesting runner. Beat Princess Kira home last time. I think when we priced the market during the week, Jason, we were probably banking on a 7 or 8 at Hastings, and Volks Lightning was out at $10. Look, we immediately had $2,000 at $10 on Volks Lightning. Now we've got a dead 6. I'd suggest that customer would be quite happy with proceedings. Currently $8.50 around Volks Lightning. He will try hard again. We've also had $2,000 on the local Hugo the Boss out at $19. 2,000 to return 38,000. So it is a deep race, as I mentioned. Look, Ricky Tiki Tavi's another one that continues to get back. He's a consistent performer. He'd be a chance. No money for Endless Drama, Jason, dropping back from 1,600 metres, competing in Group 1s. They don't know what they're thinking there. Maybe just back to the drawing board a little bit, back to the 1,200. We have not seen a bean for Endless Drama. Look, Sasa Kubara will get back in the field, you would think. If there's enough tempo in the race, or we see enough tempo in the race, there's no doubt after that win at Otaki 2 starts ago that he could finish right over the top of them. But best back Princess Kiru, Volks Lightning and Hugo the Boss have been the subject of a couple of decent bets.
A little bit of pace has come out of the race with Amarula and Misuahu not starting today. This is the Form Pro speed map with Hugo the Boss. Para had a passing shot, one of the leaders, and Jonathan Parks, I just get the sense that he might have an opportunity to control things. Vinnie's Volley, though, one of 2 trained by John Barry. Vinnie's Volley, a daughter of Ifraj. A number of high-quality mares sprinting up here, Sweens. How did you sort it?
Well, I thought it was probably the best edition of this race for some period of time, point number 1. And point number 2, I think if Passing Shot gets there and Hugo the Boss decides to sit on his flank, then the speed's going to really come out of this particular race. I don't see Vinnie's Volley putting any more pressure into the race, being a stablemate, probably capable of getting across and maybe finding a trailing position and being a danger from there. So Passing Shot sitting on speed, Hugo the Boss comes across. Rockin' Affairs, an interesting sort of addition to the race, whether it goes forward and puts a little bit more zip into it. But what I do know is that Spring Heat to Sessa Kaburo, Pretty to See, will probably all be in the back end of the field. There are some very sharp judges, and I mentioned Des Copham's Neil Davis saying that Sessa Kaburo, listening to the radio on the way up, is the one sectionally in this race exceptional. Last time we were here, though, it was a day where if you were not in the first handful, you were no chance, apart from a horse who's very, very sharp and rock on wood. You see Passing Shot down towards the inside, Volks Lightning, centre Sasa Kaporo in the middle, and out wide, Princess Kiriru. So there's your form race. You find the one you think is best advantage on a track like this this afternoon. And from my speed mapping, I've got Princess Kiriru, 3 back, 1 out. From there, I think she is the best sprinter in this particular race, 55.5 on her back, so she's down half a kilo from meeting Volks Lightning last. The time they meet at equal weights here this afternoon. So I found it a little bit difficult to get away from Princess Kiriru myself. I'm going to take the chance on Passing Shot. When this horse sets solid form, he just keeps on rocking and rolling. He has won 11. That's a very good sprinting record. He was good last time. He was a winner here over the 14 prior to that, off a leading position. And if it plays that way, he's a big danger. Volks Lightning is going nicely. The mare by Volksrad. And yes, of those sitting at the back, I am going to go with Sasa Kubara. I think this horse showed me enough at Otaki to say it can reel off a really good section, or the blinkers go on this afternoon, and that may see this horse fit a little bit more forward in that speed map than we expect, but I expect it to be to the outside first of Spring Heat Pretty to See and Sasa Kubara. So it's probably the one you'll see flying, but this could be a blanket finish, Jason. It really could be, with those weight spread, which is very, very minimal with Endless Drama in the race. Handicapper might have got this right on the mark, really, and I think they'll be blanketed across the track.
It'll be a big watch on the actual pattern itself, with the rail in the position that it is, in the true position, and how it plays throughout. Also, you know, no doubting that the tempo of that race will be important, as it will be for race number 6, because there are a lot of horses that will go forward, or expected to go forward in this 1,400 metre race, notwithstanding a horse like Swiss Watcher was $6 drawn, 10 Griffins, $5.50. It's been very positively ridden by Chelsea Burden and Nick Bakar, who rode his first winner in Singapore last night. Congratulations to him. Terra Sancta is at $7, one of the Valachi featured runners. She'll certainly be improved for this, but There's no doubting she could run a cheeky race fresh, particularly if a number of horses go too hard up front. Langkawi is the favourite at $3.80, with Lamia Stella there at $4.40. Has it been about Langkawi, Thad, dropping back to the 1400 metres and attracting cash?
Yeah, look, it has, and coming out of that Group 3 2,000 metre race behind the Chosen One at Awapuni, when it ran a strong race, Jason, we saw what the Chosen One managed to do in the Derby last weekend. So that form does frank up pretty well around Langkawi. So he's been $4.40 into $3.80, but that doesn't mean they aren't backing a few to beat him. And Griffin is one of them. Boy, oh boy, he's got a cult following already, Jason, this horse. Griffin, see Chelsea Burden aboard, obviously the full brother to Ginger Nut. And the winner of 4 already, and a super consistent form line. I think 650 into 550 around Griffin. Swiss Watch, 2 from 2 on the track and distance. Not as much money as we have seen previously for Swiss Watch, but we know he'll run a cheeky race up on the speed. And Terra Sancta, the one you mentioned, look, we haven't seen any money for it resuming at this stage. You did mention it will improve with the run, and we thought it could run a cheeky race as well. We kept it pretty well on side at $7, but at this stage haven't managed to sell too many bets around Terra Sancta. Langkawi the best backed. I think Griffin might end up being the worst result.
Okay, now this speed map makes for interesting reading. You think about backing Swiss Watch, Bevan Sweeney, it must be a concern to see all that green inside of him, because when he has performed, he's got things very soft up front before sprinting. When he hasn't performed, he's had to work the first 600 and he's been left wanting. How did you see it?
Oh, look, I wouldn't be touching him today with a barge pole. That's just my personal opinion. When I was speed mapping, I thought from there he just doesn't get the run that suits him. He's got 2 quick horses inside him. She's a Rip with Tweedledee, and they'll be coming across. And I actually thought Griffin and Stradivarius had a little bit more zip than those drawn 1 and 2 who were in the green, and they can just come across early and just let the speed go, and then they just get cover. So Griffin and Langkawi, I think, find a beautiful position in the race. And what we've seen from Langkawi, you have to be very, very keen around this particular horse's chances. Griffin, look, I was waiting out of Waiwaroa because the form's not massively strong through the East Coast swing. But then he stepped up into a reasonable sort of 72 grade or 82 grade and went down a very short margin behind Damazoro. So should have showed us that he has got very good ability. Now I'm taking you back to the 1400 metre run by Langkawi. This is in behind Emily Margaret. I thought the horse was a little unlucky not to be even closer to them in the finish. Emily Margaret's going to be presented to the centre of the track, and Langkawi's just in a tight little spot there for a couple of bounds. He just doesn't have the open expanses to really get into it. And then once he sort of has that horse allow him to come back towards the inside, I thought he was very, very good. So I understand the money for him. I think it has to be in your betting strategy, Langkawi, this afternoon. If he just pops out with no hustle or bustle, I think he gets cover and he gets a position forward with a couple coming across from out wide to give him cover. So he's clearly on top. Lamia Stella, I had a bit of interest in early on in the week as a winning chance, but I think it gets 4 back the fence with the speed in this particular race, maybe even 5 back the fence. Doesn't have a lot of gate speed, albeit a pretty talented sort of horse going forward. Griffin's in the mix. I think they will be shoulder to shoulder, Griffin and Langkawi. And outside of that, look, I'm going to put Terra Sancta in because it's quality. It's fresh up from a very good stable with Leith Innes aboard, so I've just got due respect there. But yeah, I think Langkawi is a very, very strong bet on the program, Jace. I know you're of the same mindset.
At 4:15 will be the running of the Royston Hospital Hawke's Bay Cup. Yeah, I am of the same mindset with regards to Langkawi. But here we've got Fila, who is shortened into $3. iGrain $3.40, and then you've got Jack Star at $6.50. 2,200 metres, the Hawke's Bay Cup. Thad Taylor, I'm sensing a move for the 7.
Yeah, exactly, Jason. When we spoke on Friday on the first call, I was sort of suggesting that iGrain was the better backed of the 2 favourites here, Falar and iGrain, but I think we're in a little bit of a similar boat around sort of a Volks Lightning boat here, Jason, with Falar. As soon as we got the dead 6 put up, I think the money started to arrive. She would have certainly appreciated a slow track iGrain. Not that I don't think she'll go well on a dead 6, but I think that's just pushed support towards Falar, who won't mind a slow track, but I think he's got an advantage on a dead track over iGrain. So, look, they are the 2 favourites. They've both been well backed. But just in the last few hours, the money has started to come for Falar. He was $3.30 when we opened this morning, now into $3. Look, Jack Star was so good last time in the Awapuni Gold Cup. No reason he can't go on with it now that he's back, and at $6.50, you can imagine that there's good support there, and there is. Dolcetto certainly honest, and Hunter Pence, the local, was good last time, chasing a torrid speed up front and didn't shirk the task. But yeah, look, Jason, I wanted to be with you with iGrain. I was yesterday. Now I'm starting to get a bit nervous. Now I see this money for Falara and a dead six.
And really warming to the horse, and Stephen Marsh's move to put the blinkers on him for this 2,200 metre race certainly implies that he'll be as good as you'd want him to be to run to his best. Royal Ruby and Bellum, horses that could go forward with Tiptronic. iGrain, Samantha Collett suggesting that she will be positive on her, and quite what spot she'll land remains to be seen. Hunter Pence mental telepathy after a few hundred metres can really wind into it. Is this the map that you're seeing here, Bevan?
Yes, Royal Ruby, iGrain to be the leading two, with possibly Tiptronic pushing forward and finding a forward spot. I think Hunter Pence will take a sit, mental to telepathy, and Bellum will also ensure that there is okay to below medium sort of tempo for mine. Look, the money on Fila is a little bit on reputation, for sure, for mine, when I go through this field and look through their staying form lines. Albeit he has been highly spooked for a long period of time. He's in the right race with 53 kilos and the blinkers go on. So it almost feels like D-Day for Falar, and I understand the bookmakers keeping this horse very, very safe. Do the blinkers see him just posse up a couple of more spots further forward? Lease riding very, very light. That's another key. I'm not sure at another point in the season that Leith has ridden at 53.5, so it's been a very big push for him. So he must highly rate the horse's chances here this afternoon. All that said, I think iGrain, with the trip it gets in the race and how it gets to dictate what speed this race will be run at from its position, if Samantha is positive and gets outside Royal Ruby, then iGrain should be very, very difficult to beat. Now, the track's a dead six, so there is enough cut out of this track condition. Now, Monrecure comes out of this particular race and almost picks up a black type win at Awapuni at the next start. You've got a very smart mare winning it, and iGrain at a trip so far short of her best, I thought was absolutely brilliant. And she's shown us staying quality, and she's on speed in at a racetrack where that is very, very important. And her position in the run, and her manners to come back underneath Sam and control the race. So I'm not getting off the ship, Jay. So I'm going to go with the 4 iGrain with massive respect around Fila, certainly. When I review the race of Jack Star last start, he was outstanding. He beat Sampson, who went out and won a St Ledger and had been in massive, massive form prior to that. He will love Hawke's Bay with the dig out of the track. He has been great in some of our best staying races before he had injury. If he is fine, fit, and in good health here this afternoon, and you'd have to say it must be, then he's got as good a staying credentials as any horse in the race. Then Fila for me. And Tiptronic has weight for age form over ground. He's a tough horse. Things didn't go right the last recent start. But I wouldn't be surprised if he plants himself somewhere on speed. He'll take a heck of a lot of catching. So I'm a little bit against the money, albeit respectful around the horse's abilities. 4, 3, 7 and 2 in our cup this afternoon.
Yeah, good edition of the Hawke's Bay Cup, that's for sure, the 2019 edition. Okay, Bevan, $100 and how you assess the best on the card.
I really do like Mr Universe in the first on the program. I think his last start performance was exceptional in a very good form race. He seems to be coming to it beautifully. So he will be my best bet on the program, albeit the value's just absolutely disappeared out of his price final field-wise. I think what's up in the last on the program, look, I've spoken about him so many times that I thought he'd make a horse, and I just said to people at Te Ahiraneke, well, just maybe a gold coin because the track's a good 3, and then he just burnt on by at 30s. But he's still at 850, stepped up to 65 grade and gets the cutout that I was hoping for today. So I thought what's up at around 850, I think he's into 7s with a couple of scratchings, is a very good value bet. So I'm going to have 40 on Mr Universe, I'm going to have 40 on Langkawi, and we'll put the rest of it, that's $20 to win on what's up here this afternoon. So that's how I've seen it, Jason. 11:48, 12:45 our first, so about an hour away from getting Hawke's Bay Cup Day underway.
Good stuff. Thank you, Bevan Sweeney there. Tony Lee to describe the 8 races at Hastings Hawke's Bay Cup Day, as Bevan mentioned.